Good morning, everybody. How are you? The devilishly handsome Ian Dixon. Good morning, sir.
Shut up, for f***'s sake. Jesus.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome to Wise Up Wednesday on the show, Wise Up, Rise Up Show. You were literally 10 seconds away from my husband snogging me. He came over. He was like, he giving me a kiss. I mean, what are you doing? He was trying to get me kissing on camera. That's what he was trying to get me doing. He was trying to get me being naughty, and I am not. Anyway, good morning, everybody. I hope you're all right. Welcome to the show, Rise Up, Rise Up Show. It is Wednesday, which means that we get together and we share some stuff. Oh, your girl means business this morning. She's got a pen in her hand. Like, what is popping? So I am gonna pop my makeup on real quick whilst I talk to you this morning. But we are talking about wising up this morning. We are talking about moving the needle on your income generating activities. Get on in here. Come and join the conversation. Hopefully, you are going to either learn something this morning or you're going to be reminded this morning that income generating activity isn't as easy, my loves, as throwing out into the world, hey, I'm selling a thing, buy my stuff. Hello, good morning. You can say good morning. Yeah. Come on then. This is Ivy, everybody. If anybody's not met Ivy, she is my youngest of my wildflowers. With the foliage to finish off my bouquet. How are you?
Good.
Give us a kiss. I'll see you in a bit.
There's tons of spiders.
I know. Give me a kiss. Right, go.
Let's get back on my neighbor's today.
Yeah, go. I'm live. Do you know what? She never fails. So,
I don't.
So, income generating activity is the thing that, and what I mean by that is by selling, doing sales, making money in your business. Because otherwise, if you are not doing this, if you are not doing income generating activity within your business, you are not making money. You have a very expensive hobby. Let's be very, very clear. Nobody in business wants an expensive hobby unless they're making lots of money and they want an expensive hobby. Give me just 1 second. Jump out for me, mate. Okay. Go on, off you pop. Oh, we are a week and a half away from the end of the summer holidays, and I can't wait. I love my children so very much, but it makes doing things like this really difficult. And because predominantly I work in the online space, so a lot of the meetings that I have are online, a lot of the coaching that I do is online. Now having the kids in and out makes things pretty difficult. Next year, what I'm hoping to do is get ourselves in a position where I'm not in as heavy sort of delivery, but this year has been a little bit different because we have scaled up so massively, Be Inspired, because we've made it into such a behemoth, and this is the first time that we've done that sort of level up. There is a significant amount of work that goes into making this work, that not only goes into making the event work in terms of what's happening on stage, making sure that my clients are prepared, making sure that the speakers are prepared, making sure that we have guest speakers and all of that sort of stuff. But we also this year have expo space. So we're working with local community and large national and global brands, bringing them together on the same platform as part of the Be Inspired Expo. So a lot of my summer, the last certainly 4 or 5 weeks, have been centered around making sure that we have the right mix of people in that expo space. And I'm really proud and really pleased to say that we are doing. If you are watching along this morning, please do comment and say hello. I'm not getting any comments on StreamYard, and I don't know if it's because you stopped talking to me or whether it's because StreamYard's having a bit of a wobble, but please do chat along with me this morning. So the summer holidays, this has been a real mix of client delivery and also creating this expo space, creating this sort of multi-business, multi-type of business space, the entertainment, the bums on seats, like all of this has been what my summer has been filled up with. So next year we'll have all the process. Oh, you're all there. Hello, good morning to Nicole. Good morning, Becky. Hello, Harriet. It's lovely to see some new faces this morning, or you may have been quiet faces and saying hello. It is going to be absolutely amazing. If you haven't got your ticket yet, go to imthequeenbee.co.uk. Be Inspired is on the 29th and 30th of September at Old Trafford Stadium. It is the Theatre of Dreams, which we're so excited about. We have this beautiful space for our talks that we're covering personal development, spiritual development, business development, and then we have this fantastic business and networking space. So we've got some fantastic sponsors in already, some fantastic partners in already. I've already mentioned to you, we've got, oh, you absolute legend. Can I swap you this for this one? Thank you. He's brought me a brew. He's a little superstar. Oh, I'm ready for that as well. Thank you, my darling. I love you. So we've got some fantastic national and global brands that are already partnering with us. So I mentioned already on Monday, we're partnering with Vodafone, we're partnering with NatWest, we're partnering with the AA, we're partnering with a brand new insurance company that's coming over to the UK called Stella. Who else are we partnering with? A huge partner that I'm talking to today. I can't share with you, and I really want to. It's so exciting, but I'm speaking to them at 11:30 today. I may even be able to announce them a little bit later on. We're just sort of dusting off the finer details of what it would mean for their involvement. And when I say they're a big global brand, y'all, they're a big global brand who can see what it is that we're trying to do. And making themselves accessible to business owners is really important. So that's all I can tell you about that particular partnership right now. But these things don't happen on their own. These things don't just happen overnight. So before I get into the meat of what it is that we're talking about today, which is following up, that's the important thing. That's the kind of learning that I want to do today, and what I want us to kind of knowledge share on today is that what we're doing with Be Inspired is we're providing small businesses and large businesses alike to level the playing field. The whole premise of the IATQB community is about taking up space. So it's getting small to medium-sized businesses, entrepreneurs to take up space alongside these big global and national brands, because it's necessary, you know, like as somebody in the online space predominantly, you know, our business turns over $250,000 a year. Like, well, it's not tiny, it's not small. We're not like, it's not like a little cottage industry. This is big for economy. So we want to make sure that our SMEs are sitting alongside these big globals and nationals on the same stage. Like, why would we not be? Why would we not be? So what I want to put out there to you before I get into the meat of today, which is following up and sales income generating activity, is if you want some expo space at Be Inspired, I want you to drop me a little bee emoji in the comments wherever you're watching, the Queen Bee Daddy page on Facebook, my personal profile, my LinkedIn, or in the Hive. Pop a little bee emoji and we'll send you a copy of the exhibitor brochure so you can have a little look at how you can get involved. So there's loads of opportunities for you to get in on this incredible sort of sharing space and networking space. And I've got a really, really cool announcement this later on in the show today with regards to our user experience, to our attendee experience, some really exciting things. We're working with a software company called Code Galaxy on a fantastic bit of software that's going to make your networking experience absolutely bang on and make your follow-up experience absolutely bang on, because that's what I want to speak to you about today: income generating activity and following up. So I'm interested to know, before we get in there, what are your feelings about sales? What are your feelings about sales? What do you have a process for sales, and what does that look like? Is it documented within your business? And a lot of what we find when we're small businesses is that we don't do this. We don't document our sales process. Early doors, we're just glad to make a sale, right? Like, hooray, I put something out there and someone said yes, thank fuck for that. Now, in order to scale, you're going to need to know that information is power. So understanding what works and what doesn't work will allow you to scale and grow. So you can get to, say, right, in the first instance, my sales process is I have a couple of warm-up posts that I do on social media. Then I have a selling post that I do on social media. Then we follow that up with an email, and then that's it. I wait for the sales to come in. It doesn't matter if that's good practice or poor practice or whatever at this particular point in time. It's the documentation of the process. It's you being able to see the steps so that you can say, right, well, that doesn't really work, or we need to do a little bit more here, or we need to do a little bit less here because it's not really reaping any rewards, or we need to learn if we need to do something a little bit alternative, a little bit different. We need to think outside the box here. So the first step is to document your sales process. What do I mean by document it? Just write it down. Don't get all excited about it. Don't think, oh, it's got to go in a special, a special file on a special document on a special piece of software. It doesn't. Write it down so you know what your sales process is. The next bit is to trial it out, to really look at that sales process and say, right, well, what's working here? And I would say about good 75% of small businesses are missing a trick with following up. Now, right back when I first started business, and this was a self-sabotaging behavior for me, is that I would be really good at networking. I would be really good at being present, and people would express buying signals. I would get really excited that they would express buying signals to me. And I'm not by no means a sales trainer, FYI. This is just a Wise Up Wednesday. We're just having a general chit chat about, there are plenty of sales specialists out there. I'd particularly point you in the direction of the phenomenal Deep Badgerois, particularly in the luxury industry. Charlie Day is phenomenal. Go and check her out if you want some assistance sort of with sales specifically. So we're just talking about general, like the basics. But it's always good, I think, to come back to basics. And really, this is what I've spent, like I said, I've spent a lot of the summer doing. I want to share with you what has been successful over the course of the summer whilst we've been building, be inspired to be the VMF that it is, this beautiful, delicious, very friendly, very snuggly monster that it's become. So we tell people that we're selling these things, and people may or may not express an interest. And that interest may be, oh, that sounds interesting. Tell me more. And then what will happen is you'll see that, and you might not have a really robust sales process. So go here and buy the thing. That might be what you need to do. You need to have somewhere for them to go to buy it. Right at the very beginning, in order to buy from me, you needed to have a conversation with me. I then needed to show you my sales page because it wasn't hosted anywhere. Then I would need to raise an invoice. Then I would need to take a manual payment. And actually, I put so many steps in the way of making a purchase that it was hard work. I remember our first networking meeting. I was such a novice. It's interesting, isn't it, Becky? So people do this. They go along to networking meetings and they turn up and they do this. They stand up and they go, my name's Danny Wallace and I'm a public speaking coach. I'm looking for anybody who wants help with their public speaking. Nice one. And then sits down. They then expect people people do this on social media all the time. It really boils my piss. Like, you put this post out on social media, say, I'm selling this thing, and then expect the world and his dog to fall over themselves to come and buy from you. So that won't work very well. It might work a little bit. That's like throwing a hook out in a very populated situation with no bait, and you might get a chance bite instead of using the right bait and the right kind of tension on the line. Not that I know anything about fishing. The right kind of tension on the line, for example, to pull people in, making it very easy for them to make that purchase. Now, expressions of interest don't equate to sales. You need to get involved in that process, especially if you're working slightly more high ticket, if you're working in real life business world. It isn't a case of, you're going to have so many exposures and then they're going to make that automatic purchase. In the online space, a little bit different. We'll post and post and post, give people lots and lots of exposure. Then we'll pop a link out and then it might feel easier to make that purchase. Now, in real life, that doesn't happen. And we don't just turn up to a networking meeting, pop a link out, and then they'll make their purchase. We need to build relationships, forge relationships. And one of the things that I've been really heavily reminded of this summer is the importance of follow-up when developing relationships. So 3 weeks ago, I went to Ideas Fest, run by the fantastic people who run the Great British Entrepreneurs Awards. They also run lots of other fantastic awards, the Startup Awards National Series, for example, that I'm hosting in a few weeks' time. If you don't already follow Francesca James, Max Smith, the team at Ideas Fest, do go and do that because they're just a great crowd. They're a great inspiration. And their community is fantastic, certainly for the entrepreneurial community. So I went to Ideas Fest and I went with my networking head. And I'm very, very good at networking. I'm very good at standing out. I'm very good at making myself seen, making myself heard. You would think that, right? Given what I do, given that I'm a public speaking coach, it's my job to help people become visible. You would think that that's something that I'm good at. And the thing that had always sort of scuppered me in the past that is I would go to these things and people would express interest and then I would be too shy then to reach out to that person afterwards and say, hey, when we spoke about this. And they made buying signals and they might be polite buying signals. They might just be, oh, it's very interesting what you do. You must tell me more because there's lots of loving in the networking space. Oh yeah, you must tell me. We must have a coffee. We must have a lunch. And sometimes it's bollocks, but it doesn't have to be if you follow them up. Now, I want to know in the comments if you're watching along this morning, is this something that you've been tripping yourself up on? Because the fortune is in the follow-up. When I first started out in business, there were a couple of things that I did. One is that I had a business singing, and the other is that I had a multi-level marketing business. So actually what I did was I was involved in a cosmetics company. You've noticed, for those of you that watch regularly with me, I put my makeup on all the time, right? It's not like I don't do it consistently through the day. When I'm on the show with you, I'm putting my makeup on ready for the day. When I was building my singing business, I would put my makeup on a live prior to a show and speak to people. It was one of the ways that I was able to maintain consistent visibility, grow my audience. And I also got involved with a cosmetics company because it made sense. I was putting makeup on anyway. So if I'm putting mascara on, I might as well say, hey, look at this mascara. Now, I don't do that anymore because time doesn't allow for it. It's not a necessity for me. But certainly really helped me out of a tight spot. In fact, I was talking to somebody about this yesterday. It really helped me at the time pay for like car repairs when my cars broke down. And I remember selling mascaras in order to pay a bill one time. It really helped me get out of a tight spot. And the thing is, I learned through the training that they gave through that particular platform. It's sales based. It was, increasing your team, increasing your sales force, all of that sort of stuff. It's very intensive training around things like mindset, things like sales, things like follow up. And the phrase that always stood with me is there's fortune in the follow up. There's gold in them, they're hills. Like, it's okay to go to the hills, to see the hills, but you've actually got to go into the hills and mine the hills in order to generate the gold, in order to bring the gold out. Everyone says it's a great idea, sounds brilliant, but they are pregnant or they have a newborn, or they'll always give you reasons, Danielle, to like not do the things, and totally get it. But what we've got to do is we've got to give them an opportunity to do what they say or to learn more. It's always more information. They're going to need some more information. I find myself tripping up over wanting everything to be perfect before I get back to them. ADHD brain. There's another thing to do first. Yeah, I hear that. But actually, if you're in the business of building relationships and not making the sales will come. And that's coupling up two things. That's making sure you have a robust sales process in the first instance. So just making relationships will get you liked and not respected and not sales. So you'll just make friends. Eventually you'll get friend zoned and no one will buy anything from you. If you're not consistently offering the sale in a way that is, in adherence with your process, you still make those friends, right? So my job at Ideas Fest was to go and make friends, to go and share with people what it is that I do. Now, my story is heavily attached to what it is that I do. So I got the stall. I was very visible and it looked brilliant. And I had a squad there as well, and they were fantastic. Oh, I'm in my antenatal business. They aren't in a position to buy or not pregnant, so no follow-up. Aha. So in your sales process, you need to be able to qualify if and when, or qualify if and when they know. Do you know anyone? So if they're not pregnant or about to be pregnant or whatever, then it might be, the question is, do you know anybody? and the networking and the friendship building is that you maintain presence enough so that you become the person that people think about. So in my networks, and this is why particularly in the online space, when people go, oh, I need someone to help me with my speaking, my name is the one that gets tagged. Oh, you need to speak to Danny. She's incredible. Another incredible speaking coach out there, Mike Ganino, he's another person who gets tagged a lot. Catherine Sandlin is another person that gets tagged a lot because they maintain presence, they maintain visibility, and also they check in, they follow up. So understanding your sales process in the first instance allows you then to have conversations with people and feed them into that sales process if it's appropriate for them, if they make buying signals, instead of just, hey, buy my shit, hey, buy my shit, hey, buy my shit. So I've got this stall. People are coming over and they're expressing interest. So they're saying, hey, Dan, what is this? What is this stall? And I'm like, don't go anywhere. I'm actually trying to sell you a book, but because on the purpose isn't really to sell them the book or the chufty badge or the pen or whatever it is I've got on the stall. The real objective of this part of the sales process, particularly through the Flying Away Foundation, is to get them in to become an ambassador, or even better, a gold ambassador, or even better, connect us to someone who can give us some funding or something like that. That's the real thing. So the intention for the stall, the intention for the presence was to develop relationships so that we can work to our higher goal, which is to have enough funding in the pot so that we can recruit in the people that we need to recruit so that we can scale the CIC. So that's the job. So that's the ultimate motive. But for somebody just walking past a stall, it's not good enough for me to say, hey, can you do me a favor? Do you know any funders? Can you put me in touch with anybody with loads of cash so that they can give it to us and I can help all these people? It's not going to work because they're not going to know me. They're not going to like me. They're not going to trust what it is that I'm going to do. So my job in the moment is to connect. My job in the moment is to inform. So this is the Flying Away Foundation. And I created this actually 11 years ago. I found myself in a position whereby I was homeless. I'd experienced domestic abuse. And I swore to myself in that moment, if ever I was to make a success of myself, I would make it my life's work to help people in particularly the field of domestic abuse, either from a post-trauma point of view, which is where we're at right now, or eventually from a refuge and accommodation space and getting out of crisis. But my goal is to stop that repetitive cycle of kind of either going back to perpetrator or falling into other toxic relationships, is to do that work. That's my life's work. That's what the Flying Away Foundation is all about. And we're at this first stage at the moment where we help people who've experienced domestic abuse with a business idea plug into business goods and services. Now, I've got to really make sure I know how to explain that very well, very succinctly, and very quickly. So if I stand there and hold someone waxing lyrical, and then they're gonna get bored. I'm gonna try and pitch them something, but I'm gonna tell them something really compelling, really quickly. And that's gonna pique their interest. Oh, wow, I know somebody who's experienced domestic abuse. Flipping heck, do you know what? 1 in 4 women, 1 in 6 men. Did you even realize that? And that's not even talking about any of the other genders out there or the other segmentation. Particularly Black women don't get believed when it comes to domestic abuse. Bruises aren't seen on melanated skin as well as they are on white skin. And this is the work that we're doing. It's incredible. Would that person want to build a business? Do they have a business idea? Do you think and then I can talk to them about business, or do you have a business? And I know, because of where I am at Ideas Fest, where the entrepreneurs are, I know that they have a business. So then I'm inviting them to become a business builder. And they're saying, hey, yeah, great idea. Brilliant. I'm going to take your details. And then magic starts to happen, because they then start thinking, oh, how can I help in this field? Or who do I know? Now, it helps that I have a social responsibility arm to my business, and it gives them access to me through these brilliant conversations. But that's not really what I'm saying. The sales process here is what it is for me. The storytelling is what draws them in. And that's the same for all of you. Every single one of you that have a business need to be able to articulate why you do what you do and who you help. You need to be able to articulate why you do what you do and who you help, because the why brings them in. That's connection, and the value allows them to see themselves in the way that you help. They get to see the gap in their requirement. You get to share with them their problem or their pain and the fact that you help with that, right? So for me, when I come across these people, so I've got really itchy nose because I'm excited. I always get an itchy nose when I'm excited. when people come across me, they see that, there's a potential here to fulfill some social responsibility for them. They have a potential to fulfill an aspect of giving back, especially for established businesses. And if they're not established businesses, we can help them as well. It's all well and good having those conversations and getting that information in that moment. If I leave that situation then and never speak to that person again, never follow up. I've got a hair, that's why I was itchy. Look, I've got a hair. And never follow up with that person, chances are in that moment, it was a really important conversation. Once you leave that conversation, life gets in the way and you no longer become important. It's not because you're not important, the work that you do isn't important. It's just that other things in their life have taken over. So we've got to find a way of following up with that person to remind them of you and the great work that you do and how you help. How does that happen? I really would love to know for you out there that are watching, if you're watching on LinkedIn, if you're watching in the Hive, if you've got a business in any way, what does your follow up look like? How do you follow up? And are you following up in a way that is serving your business as well as what it could do? I wonder. Let me know in the comments. Let me know what's going on with you guys. I'm following up specifically. So for me, here's what it looked like in the instance of networking, or what it looks like. So I go to this event, and at the event, I had people that were manning the stall for me when I was out there sort of actively networking. And I would get people's business cards, or I would connect with them on LinkedIn, and I would send them a request, or they would send me a request, and I wouldn't accept it in the moment. And the reason I wouldn't accept it in the moment is it would give me a list of everybody who I connected with in that particular point in time, so that when I get home later on, I can make a note of all those people and then begin the follow-up process, which is directly sending them a message saying, it was so lovely to meet you today. For me, the important bit for the next step is to try and get them on a call, to try and speak with these people, to try and have a conversation and say about, okay, so we talked in the moment really passionately, but we should really work together. We should partner. I can see some synergies in the way that our businesses can work. Or I'm really interested in the work that you do. I would love to know more about Be Inspired, or I would love to know more about your speaking work. So I'm going to make a note to say, right, well, I spoke to this person. I spoke to them about that. And then I'm going to send them a message. It was so great to speak to you today. It would be great if we can get maybe 5-10 minutes virtual brew. And I've got a day specifically for follow-up in this respect. Now, in the online space, it doesn't always work in that. You don't want to get loads and loads of people on a call. For something as big as Be Inspired, I want to have conversations with people. They won't have come across, especially the big nationals, they won't have come across the event before. They're going to need to know more what they would say verticals on it, like what's in it for them, like how is the event going to serve them. So I want to have a conversation with them. I'm not going to blindly send them a pack. For those of you that have more access to me, I'm going to send you a pack, and then I'm going to follow up with you. Say, hey, did you have a little look at it? Is there anything that piques your interest? Do you want to have a chat about it? But the follow-up is not just the sending of the pack and then expecting them to come back. It's sending them the pack and not being frightened to check in 2 days later. Hey, give them enough time. We're not being aggressive here. Did you check in with the brochure? Can I, do you want to have a little chat about it? It would be great to have a little 5 minutes with you. Get them on a call, have a conversation. So that's what my follow-up process looks like. And garners me some brilliant yield in that we now, because of this follow-up that I've been doing, I've had some fantastic conversations about not just the thing that I need in the first instance, which is things like sponsorship or expo spaces or tickets sold or whatever it is that I'm selling, but longer partnership relationships and collaborations that are going to help us both do well, that serve both ways. Let's take NatWest, for example. It's a fantastic conversation with Bods at NatWest, and they're like, yeah, well, we want to have a look at expo space, but also I think we can introduce you to X, Y, and Z. And also we have these events. It would be great if maybe, Danny, you can come and speak at one of the events. It's a mutually beneficial, it's an exchange, it's a collaboration, it's a friendship. And follow-up allows for this depthening, this deepening of relationship with people, so that if they're not buying in the first instance, they might buy the next time you speak to them, or they might keep you in mind for somebody when they're recommending. The building of your network is so important, and that starts with following up. So let's have a little look. Nicole, Mine looks like having an internal debate for a few weeks about whether I should follow up, then sending an email saying hi, then worrying for the next few hours about whether I sounded too desperate or salesy. Yes. And the fear is what is going to stop you from moving further along that line. Sales isn't sleazy. Sales is an exchange of money for goods and services. That's all it is. And it's right and proper, especially when you're an expert in your field. It's right. If that person is getting value, yes, absolutely, they should be paying for it. Absolutely, they should. You have worked a long time to become an expert in your field, to share that goods or service with them. You've worked hard making the thing. So, of course, it's okay to ask, who's this? The LinkedIn user that's saying, Nicole, haha, I'm the same. Who is this? So my challenge to you this week is this, as we wise up together, and I'm doing this a lot, is go through the contacts that you've spoken to. Go through people who have made buying signals to you and actually say, hey, I saw that, or can you remember when we had this conversation? It would be great to speak to you a little bit more, or I have something at the moment that might really work. Kate, it's Kate. Good morning, Kate, my darling. How are you? So knowing that you need to know your process, your sales process, and then allowing yourself to have conversations, allow yourself to network, and then following up to be able to help that person into your sales process is important, because it's all well and good saying that I'm selling something. Hey, I'm selling a thing. I'm selling a ticket. But if someone expressing interest, I'm going to check in with that person and say, hey, you said you were going to sell it. It's Kate. I see you, darling. No, your name doesn't show up. Sometimes with Streamer, you've got to give them permission for us to see your name. I think it's because we're in we're multi-site streaming. So sometimes we've got to give permission in order for StreamYard to share with me who it is that's kind of watching along. So know your sales process, allow yourself to network, and then have a follow-up process. So Nicole, what we've done here is we've documented your follow-up process. And for somebody who does this quite a bit, I can see the holes in your follow-up process. So we could tweak this follow-up process in the moment today to make this follow-up process stronger, better, faster, all that sort of stuff. So instead of waiting a couple of weeks, instead, wait no longer than 48 hours. Enough time to digest, enough time for a little bit of life, but then to come back for you still to be fresh in their brain. Leave it a couple of weeks. You've left it too long. You don't remember each other not as well, or they don't remember you not as well as they could do. It doesn't feel as urgent to you, to that person anymore. The urgency has started to ebb. So follow-up is like acting on that urgency, the momentum. Maybe I should take the word urgency, replace it with momentum of conversation. So once you have momentum of conversation, you keep using momentum of conversation. So a great example of this for us were the curious entrepreneurs. I was seeking to actively collaborate with people who were also making waves in the entrepreneurial space, particularly for people from marginalized backgrounds. So I met the curious entrepreneurs, Alex Hughes and his team, and found that he was doing phenomenal work with 16 to 20 years, 16 to 19-year-olds. It's either 16 to 19 or 16 to 24, young entrepreneurs, helping them become qualified in entrepreneurialism through his qualification system that he's devised. Now, this makes sense for me to partner with him because I work with people who are building businesses as well, who need this skill set. So not only would it serve the 16 to 24-year-olds in this particular space, actually there is parity and alignment with what I'm doing with the Flying Away Foundation with our business builders. So it makes sense that we are friends. So I have resources that can help Alex and have helped him with that, and Be Heard is now being plugged into Curious Entrepreneurs in their program, which is brilliant and exciting. It just fills my heart up so much, and already they're using that to great effect. So they was doing some pitching with them, and they shared with them one of the modules from Be Inspired about getting over yourself, getting like owning your body and your confidence and understanding what confidence is. And then they went out and go and pitch, and they had some success, which is fantastic. So to see Be Heard work in that space, but that would never have happened if me and Alex didn't take ownership of our follow-up with each other and say, how can we help each other? How can we work together? So it doesn't always have to be Marcus Matthews. That's why you need to partner with me, Daddy. Marcus, get in my inbox. Get in my inbox, my darling. Let's have a conversation. Right. So then me and Marcus are going to take this conversation. We're going to go into our DMs. We're going to get some time together and work out, how do we work together? What does that look like, right? And it doesn't always have to be an exchange. It could be a collaboration. But within that collaboration comes a network. And within that network come recommendations. Actually, I know this phenomenal person called Danny Wallace. She's a speaker coach. You need her. And so the follow-up not only becomes about the immediate sale, but it comes about the extension of your network, which is so important because your network is your net worth. Your ability to grow and expand that network is important, because if you are selling in a space, it might be that you started a business and you've done super duper poop scooper well. You've done really well, right? And you stay, and I see this happen all the time and it breaks my heart. You stay in this network. What will happen is you will utilize that network up. You will use that network up. You will eventually have people that are never going to buy from you in that network. They'll just like you. You'll be friend zoned, or people will buy from you and then they'll have bought from you, and that will be the end of their journey. You need to be expanding your network all the time, and following up is really important in this. So for you watching out there right now, understand your sales process, right? And if you understand it, just like we've done with Nicole there, we don't wait a few weeks. We wait for 48 hours max before we get in there and say, hey, we spoke about this the other day. What do you think? Do you want the thing? Or do you want to have a chat about it? Or shall we get some time in to speak about it? It's okay to use assumptive language. And there are far better sales trainers out there. I mean, I'm not a sales trainer. I'm a communications expert, if anything. Yeah, I'm an expert in the power of connection, if anything. But just stop waiting. Stop waiting and stop being scared and follow up. That person is not going to be upset or annoyed if you say, I remember a conversation that we had. Do you want to talk more on it? And make time in your diary to do that, especially when you are growing, and your network needs strengthening. I can't get into events. In summary, is one of the most important things that you can do in a post-COVID era to start to build on that. Funnily enough, I've got an event that you can attend. So Be Inspired is at the end. It's a perfect example of a networking space. And I want to share something with you. I have realized, I just make sure that I'm not running over time. I'm not, a couple of minutes. I have realized that the manual brain dump that I had to do and have had to do after networking events is a pain, especially for someone who's neurodivergent. So I had to rely on lots of people to get these contacts in for me. And I had to rely on my team really late at night when I got in to hold space for me while I brain dumped all of these connections. So at Be Inspired, we're going to make it really, really easy for you to follow up, right? So that you are in this perfect little microcosm of incredibleness of networking, where you're going to make some of the best connections ever. We're going to make it really easy for you to follow up with them. So everyone's going to get a QR code. You're going to be able to tap each other in our own event space. You're going to get to tap each other's phone. You'll be able to exchange really easy, really quickly information with each other with consent according to GDPR law. And then you're going to be able to make a note against that contact and say, we spoke about this in the moment, so that when you leave at the end of the day and you've got some time to follow up, you have it all in one place. Not a few here on Instagram, not a few here on Facebook, not a few here on LinkedIn, all in one event space to make it really, really super duper easy and digital for you to be able to follow up. Really excited to be working with Code Galaxy on that right now. So if you are coming to Be Inspired, you will be able to benefit from this piece of software. So excited to share that with you. If you haven't got your ticket already, you need to go to imthequeenbee.co.uk. Get your ticket now. If you want to expo with us, if you want an expo space, we've got 5 left. It is £300 plus VAT for 1 day, £500 plus VAT for 2 days. You will be exhibiting alongside the likes of the Shout Network, which is a fantastic regional network here in the UK. You'll be exhibiting alongside the AA, alongside Vodafone, NatWest, alongside the incredible Danny Clark, alongside Charlotte Mather, alongside Send Story with Joe McMeechan. We've got such a broad spectrum, wonderful expo space for you, as well as Be Inspired itself, which is just 2 days of phenomenal talks and education and learning. So hopefully you found today's Wise Up Wednesday food for thought. I really hope it has. Get following up. The fortune is in the follow-up. All right, my darlings, extend those networks, expand those networks, have those conversations. You're not being pushy by wanting to be friends with people. You're not being pushy by sharing with them what it is that you do. I wish you the best of luck. Please let me know your successes by doing this in the IATQB Hive, which is my free community over on Facebook. All you need to do is go into search and type in IATQB. It's an acronym for I am the Queen Bee, as are you, or the King Bee, or the Royal Bee for that matter. I hope you have a wonderful Wednesday, and I will see you on Friday for more showing up, wising up, and rising up. I'll see you later.